The Rise of Capitalism by Conan Arlo. In the years prior to the Europeans arriving in America, the societal and economic norm was feudalism, where peasants would work on a noble's land in exchange for military protection. The influx of wealth brought back to Europe from the conquest of colonial exploration caused massive inflation, the inflation rate rising up to as much as 500% in the coming years, leading to the development of banks as well as a market of investment in continuing voyages to unconquered lands, and therefore gold and other resources. This caused a shift in Europe from an economy of feudalism to capitalism, an economic system centered around profit and built on labor. Since it was too risky for any one person to sponsor these voyages to the New World, the Europeans implemented joint stock companies and specifically limited liability organizations in which a plurality of investors pool their money to fund a venture, or basically a place where a bunch of people come together to sponsor a voyage across to the New World so that no one goes broke if the voyage goes wrong, and if it goes right, everyone profits.
Some of the first people to capitalize on the riches, or should I say plunder the riches, of the Americas were the Spanish. However, the Spanish quickly realized that agriculture and crops would gain them more wealth than gold or silver ever could. So, what was the first thing they thought of to try? I want you to guess. Ding ding ding, if you said slavery, you'd be right. One of the first things the Spanish did when they realized that agriculture and crops was where the big bucks was implement a system called the encomienda system, which is pretty much a fancy Spanish word for enslaving natives and forcing them to work on plantations. This went about as well as your dad trying to deep fry a turkey in a vat of hot oil on the porch during Thanksgiving. What I'm really trying to get at here is this whole plan blew up in their face. One of the reasons that this plan went sideways was that they tried enslaving the natives on their homeland, aka the land they were familiar with. So once they got captured and sent out to work the field, they would just leave because they knew exactly where to go. The second reason that the Europeans' plan went sideways is that the Europeans carried over a lot of diseases from Europe, including smallpox, which pretty much killed 95% of the American population because they had no immunity to it whatsoever. And obviously, the Spanish solution for this was more slavery. Since it didn't really go too well with the Native Americans, they decided to import Africans to America to work the plantations. Another thing the Spanish did while they were in America was introduce another social hierarchy system, which brings me to our next point. It's pretty obvious by now that the Spanish looked down on anyone who wasn't themselves. So they introduced a new hierarchy system to the Americas called the casta system. This system placed peninsulares at the top, aka Spaniards born in Spain. Below them were the criollos, people born in New Spain of Spanish parents, which seems pretty stupid to me. I don't know why the place you're born in should have any effect on your social status, but okay. Then below that, the mestizos, born of Spanish and Native American parents. Below that, the Native American Indians themselves, and on the bottom, enslaved people. It's worth noting that most Spanish people thought of Native Americans as fundamentally less than human, which made it easier for them to dole out harsh punishments. In conclusion, an explosion of resources and wealth fueled trade, which led to the transformation of feudalist Europe to the spread of capitalism worldwide. Thanks for watching.